Guys, have you been through something really traumatic and you feel like your life is just so hard and you can't seem to move forward and you're stuck. You feel trapped and you feel like there's just no way out? I've been there. I have definitely experienced that. I hated my life. I struggled all the time. I thought there was no way out. And the weight of it was so strong and carrying on me, and it was hard, and it just felt like no matter what I tried, I was falling into the same patterns. I was falling into the same relationships. I was meeting the same people, and always something bad was happening to me, and it just felt like this never ending vicious cycle. And I just felt like I'm in a tornado going around and around and around and around and just waiting to be thrown out. But I wasn't. I just kept going and going and going. And in that tornado, I just kept meeting different obstacles. Obstacles being people. So we were all going around in this tornado. And then finally one day, it was like I was in the eye of the storm. And I got up. I'm finally free of this tornado, this complete shitstorm. I'm free of. And how I did that was asking myself questions. Like, first, I had admitted to myself that this sucks and I don't enjoy this. I'm not happy and I want this to stop. I'm ready for a change. And so I demanded myself for a change. So I did stuff differently. One of the things that I did was I went to counseling. I got myself a therapist, and I was then diagnosed with the stuff that I was diagnosed with. And so I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, severe PTSD, severe anxiety. My anxiety caused seizures. So if I'm in a high stressful situation, I will have a seizure. I have not had one in years. It's been years. So, in saying that, I was unaware. Okay, so I am not a therapist. I am in no shape or form a doctor. So I will never diagnose or say this is what you have. However, if you notice, like if you've been through stuff and you're in this vicious cycle of negativity or bad relationships, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or just friendships, because even friendships, or your family, it doesn't matter. Whoever you're in a relationship with, of whatever kind, if it's toxic, if you're constantly finding the toxic people, there's something going on. Okay, and until you figure out what that is and address it, it's going to continue to happen. Okay, you have to break the habits. So the best thing that I did for myself was getting diagnosed. Okay, the second thing that I did was once I got the diagnosis, because when I first heard borderline personality disorder, let me tell you, I had no idea what the fuck that was. I questioned and I said, does that mean I'm crazy? And they laughed and was like, no. And I laughed back and I was like, yeah, okay, you're just paid to say that, but I'm crazy, aren't I? And they laughed again and said no. And so because I had never heard of it before, I had gone home and I started looking online, what is borderline personality disorder? Then I started breaking it down, because borderline personality is something that has like different things that you can pick up. You may have all of them, which is probably super rare, or you've got like 5 out of 10 or whatever the case may be. But I figured out what mine were. So once I started acknowledging and noticing, okay, I do that. Oh, yeah, okay, I do that too. Oh, Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's mine too. So once I started pinpointing exactly what that meant for me, what I related to with borderline personality disorder, there's actually a person on Facebook, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but um, she's on my Facebook feed, and she does borderline personality disorder. I believe she's also in the field. I don't know her exact title, so I'm not going to say, but I found her very helpful, and she does amazing makeup like that Michaela girl. She also, but anyways, the point is that I had gotten myself diagnosed, and once I got diagnosed, I then started understanding the diagnosis. Then once I started understanding the diagnosis, so they told me that it is untreatable. You can't take medication for it. That is very difficult to live with. And I know, I've been living with it, so I get it. But why it was so hard to live with is because I had no idea that's what I was living with. I didn't have a clue. So how do you fix something? How do you acknowledge something you don't know about? You're not going to get it. So until you understand that that's what's going on, like if you're depressed, you might know you're depressed, but you could be in denial too. So, you're sad, you're gloomy, and you're feeling really crappy. You could just be like, oh, it's just a bad day. It's a bad week. But really, you're depressed. So until you get diagnosed, you're not going to know how to face it and get over it. I mean, depression, yeah, you can take medication if you want to. It's an option. But there's also other things you can do. And yeah, you can do this without being diagnosed as well. I've personally found being diagnosed super helpful because I was able to work on my triggers, on stuff that I struggled with, because I understood. I was now self-aware of, oh, this is happening. But once I understood my diagnosis, and once I understood that this is what was going on, I watched these videos long enough to understand what was going on with me, to understand what the diagnosis was. So I learned enough information to be like, okay. So now in a situation of stress, for example, my kids, if they've triggered me because they don't want to listen, or they're misbehaving, or they're talking back or something, usually I would be very impulsive back in my response because I would be triggered. And so then now I acknowledge that, hey, okay, I'm being triggered. I can walk away. So I gave myself permission to react differently. Even when at the beginning, when I was being impulsive, I was now acknowledging that, hey, whoa, you gotta shut up. Like, you gotta stop. So I would stop, and I would step back and walk away. And then I would come back and apologize and say, you know what? I was getting worked up. My apologies. And it became a habit to where now I don't impulsively respond. I do not feed into the behavior. It is completely different. And all because I acknowledged what was happening, what was being done and said, and why I was doing it. So being diagnosed was the best thing for me. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and get diagnosed, but if you do feel something, it's not the end of the world. And it's okay to know that, hey, this is going on with me. And then you get to choose how you handle it, whether it's medication, whether it's different practices. But this was the start for me, okay? So being diagnosed for me personally was the best thing. And I recommend, if you feel something, to go get go get help. It's okay. And so when I got diagnosed, it also led me to meditation, which I have posted on how to properly breathe, and different ways that you can meditate and how to choose it for beginners. Because when I started meditating, I didn't know I was breathing. It's okay. Let me rephrase that. You can breathe basically any way that you want, but there are ways that you breathe when you're meditating that is more beneficial, that gets you into a deeper sense of the meditation. So that's what I was sharing, is that you breathe in through your nose and you exhale through your mouth. And also there was something that I wish I had added on there, that if when you're breathing, the universe likes, so like I had said, breathe in for 3, hold for 3, let go for 3. And you're inflating a balloon in your stomach as you breathe in, and you're deflating the balloon as you breathe out. I have found out that the universe really likes patterns and different things. And if you look at Mother Nature, there are a lot of patterns. So it makes sense. So numbers are the same thing. So when you're first breathing in, if you are doing a meditation, that you are going to start with a deep breath. If you can do 9 seconds, do 9 seconds. Hold for 9 seconds and release for 9 seconds. Or you do 6. But you keep it in like increments of 3, because the longer you can hold it in and the longer you hold it out, and you do that 3 times until you're in like a deep state, and then you could go back to your 3, 3, 3. Okay, so very important, very easy. But I wish I had said that in my other video, so here it is now. Okay, but going back, another thing that has really, really helped me is understanding what got me to my diagnosis of borderline personality, my anxiety, all the stuff that I'm going through, my severe PTSD. Now, this was 2 years ago that I was diagnosed. If I was to go into a random therapist today, you would not know that this is the same person as the one 2 years ago. You just I wouldn't get the same diagnosis. I would not be diagnosed with borderline today or severe PTSD. I would be a totally different person. They'd be like, why are you here? Really? Like, I'll take your money, but okay. But it's true. It is true. The person that I was 2 years ago is far different than who I am today. And what I did was I worked on myself. I started acknowledging that, hey, I am done with this person. I am done with this life. This life does not suit me. It does not benefit me. It is not doing anybody any good. This person I no longer want to associate with. So I've said goodbye to that person. That person no longer exists for me. The person I am today is because of the process that got me from that person to this person. And I hope that 2 years from now, I am not this person anymore, that I'm even better. So my goal is to constantly evolve into a better, stronger version of me. Why? Because we deserve the best. Every single one of us deserves better. Okay? If you've gone through some really bad things in life, it can feel suffocating. It can feel very draining and hard and difficult, and I get it. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to live like this any longer. That all the stuff that you've gone through, no matter how difficult it is, you can overcome it if you want to. Okay? So, one of the things that you can do for you, acknowledge yourself. Start with you, because in order to change the world, you have to change you. You cannot control me. You cannot control anybody that you know, not even your kids. You can try and teach them right from wrong, but you cannot control them. They are going to make their own decisions. They are going to make their own choices. You can guide them and hope to God that they listen and that they follow your instructions. But kids, how many of us did what our parents exactly told us to do? Right? It's part of growing up. It's part of our own story, our own lessons that we have to learn. So when I say start with you, because you can only control you, you can only fix you. The best thing you can do for you, if you know that you are stuck and you're in this same tornado that I was in, how to get yourself out is acknowledging that this is not the life you want. Acknowledge that you are done and demand it. I am done with this person. And then make yourself a promise. Make yourself a promise that I am going to change who I am. I am not going to allow this to be my life anymore. And you start making changes. So something you can do for yourself, one of the best things you can do for yourself, start asking yourself questions. What got me here? What did these experiences that I've experienced done for me? What have they taught me? What have I gotten from this? How can I use these to better my life? What was I supposed to take from these experiences? It is extremely important to acknowledge that you can change and that you can heal. And the only one who can do that for you is you. So start by asking these questions. Who am I? What do I want from my life? How can I use these experiences to better myself? How can I make a difference? Once you acknowledge these things, you are going to start opening up to other things. Another thing you can do is self-care. Okay, start by, if you're a girl, go get your hair done. Go get your nails done. Take a long bubble bath with some candles. Go for a walk. If you're a man, do your hobby. You could also go for a walk. You could have a bath. Why do you have to be a female to have a bath? You could have a bath. You know, you do these things that make you feel good. Do something that isn't for somebody else, not because somebody else wants you to. You do it because you enjoy it. So if you like working on a car, go work on a car. If you like painting, you paint. You do something for you, because you taking that time for you is just as important as you putting that time for your kids or for a family or a friend. Why not do it for yourself? We tend to forget about ourselves, and we shouldn't. Self-care is huge. Being diagnosed was something for me. That was self-care. Therapy for me. That was self-care. It was me putting myself first for a change. When I said I didn't want to be this person anymore, I made the decision to start making changes. So I took the step. You're not going to change unless you take the action. You have to make the action. If you are just going to say, oh, I don't want this life, I'm changing, this is not who I am anymore, and then you do the same things and you don't do anything different, you're never going to get out of that. You're just going to keep repeating that. You have to make the action that says, I want to change, okay? If you're not going to take the action, there won't be a change. But if you take the action, you will change, I promise. Actions. Actions are very important because then you're telling the universe, I'm done. Let's move on. I'm ready for this change. Okay, you are, he's so sweet. This is Gunner. He's my kitty. Hi, baby. And he's giving everybody his butt. He's gonna go on the cat tree. So I want you to know that on my journey in the last 2 years, okay, here. So here's a story about how I got here, a little bit about how I got here. So I had actually gotten into a really bad relationship, like super bad. I actually had done an emergency move to where I'm living now. And so where I'm living, where I was living before, it was a 2-bedroom, 2 floors. Like you go up the stairs, there's a big living room, dining room area, and then the kitchen with the laundry. So that really sucked. I hated that so much. And then you go downstairs. I did love though the big high ceiling, the big space, and then I also loved the big pantry closet. That was amazing too. But you go downstairs and then there's the bedrooms and the bathrooms. So there was 1 bathroom and 2 bedrooms and some storage under the stairs. And my room was huge and there was 2 closets in my room. Who doesn't love that? Definitely room for another bathroom though. Anyways, so the point is I had this home and it was okay. And I was paying $1,200 a month plus utilities. And so because of this experience that I had, I was now in an emergency state. And so the police helped me move to the home that I'm in now. They had me find it. And this is the thing about life, guys. Everything happens for a reason. Whether we believe it or not, it is supposed to happen the way that it's happening for a reason. So what happened was I found this place and I found it really fast. Like this, it was like everything was lined up. And I had found this place within the first day. Actually, I think it was my very first search, to be honest. And it was $15 cheaper or $12 cheaper or something. $15 because it's a 5. So yeah, $15 cheaper than what I was paying. And this place was much larger. It's 3 floors, 2 bathrooms. There's a walkout basement. And like my room is the basement. So this is my little workspace, and I've got my bedroom, and I've built myself like a walk-in closet, and the kids are all way upstairs. So this situation brought me to this home that was also cheaper, and I had great landlords. And I have a nicer yard, and I actually redecorated my yard. And it turns out that they wanted to sell. So guess what, guys? I bought it. I was here for 6 years renting, and then I had bought it last year. I did it. So I went from this person who was so scared and struggling and to this successful. I think this is success. I have come from a very low place to a much higher place, and all it took was making actions, taking actions. So I went to therapy. I acknowledged the stuff that was going on with me. I started to make the changes. I did the practice. I did the work. I put in the time. I put in the effort. And believe me, it was worth it. So if you are at that point where you just don't like your life anymore and you want out of that, start with you. Make those changes, because I am telling you, you will not look back. You'll be like, wow, this is amazing. I no longer have the pains and aches. Here's an example of my borderline personality disorder, okay? So I don't know if you know anything about it, but I mean, there's a lot more information about it now than than I knew, but maybe because I was diagnosed and now I'm looking for. So the universe brought it to me. However, I know there's stuff on Facebook and whatever. Anyways, it's a lot of impulse. It's a lot of dysregulation, and there's a lot to it. It's a huge scale of stuff. They say that you'll always live with it, blah blah blah, but reality is, no, if you work on it, you won't. If you heal your past, if you start with you and you work at it, you can overcome it. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm living proof that you do not have to be stuck with that, because all these things that we get is from not dealing with stuff. We just let it fester and sit there, and all that negative energy is keeping us trapped in this low vibration, which we'll get into and in other videos. But if you work and deal with the issues, you will overcome. Okay, it just takes patience, it takes practice, and it takes time. And by the way, I think I said this in the last video, time is a made-up thing from humans, okay? It is not real. So be patient, because the time is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. The universe has it all planned out for you. So do not feel like it's taking too long or whatever, or that you should have done this sooner. It wasn't meant to be, because those experiences that you had up until were for a reason. So it's up to you to figure out why and how you can utilize those experiences. My experiences I'm using to help others figure out and how to get over it. Okay, and letting them know, I'm letting you know that, yeah, I've had these diagnoses. I have literally gone through some really crappy stuff, including for myself. But we can get over it. We can make it through. So I'm so happy and excited to share this with you guys. And please know that it just takes a little bit of effort. And as long as you're taking action, I mean, watching this video, this is taking action. This is understanding and giving you hope. This is giving you like encouragement that, hey, you know what? She's had this. She's gone through this. Here's a story for you. So my daughter's dad, he and I had a very passionate relationship. It was very fast. It was very intense. And we both will admit how intense it was. And once I got pregnant, it completely changed. So he basically promised me all these things and wanted all these things with me. And then once it started becoming a reality, he got scared. And when he got scared, he reacted in such a way that was not so nice. And he had other people supporting his beliefs in what he felt. And he was very cruel. And so were they. And I it worsened my BPD. It was super bad. And when we would text each other, my borderline personality would be so intense, because instead of verbal diarrhea out loud, it's on text. So it's the same thing. And just from looking at our texts, we don't have them anymore, but he might, but I don't. I would get so worked up and so impulsive. I feel like a cat hair's on me. I'm sorry. It's like right here. It would be these long drawn out verbal diarrhea text messages, and I would just rah! And no control. And there were many times even where I would delete it, and then I would do it again. And yeah, okay, it would get less as I would calm down, but I would still send something that was over the top intense. And that could just be from a disagreement, just because he hurt my feelings, just because I didn't agree with his opinion, because he hurt me. And we went to court after I had the baby, because I kept her, and I took him to court, and it was so ugly. It was so toxic. It was so heavy and draining. Oh my gosh, the stress was awful, and I do not wish that on anybody. Not for him, not for me, not for you. Nobody deserves that. And all because we were both stubborn, because we both had our ideas, because we both felt justified. And we went from that to being done with court, and we would have to meet each other every second weekend, and we would have to meet in a parking lot in a public place. And it was the stress, just having to go there, was to see him, to be around him. I would cringe, I would tense, I would, like, the tension that I would build in my body was awful. And I know he probably did the same thing. I mean, we talk about it now and we laugh about it. And we had gotten to a place where what he did was, to many, unforgivable. There was a time where I thought it was unforgivable. There was a time where I hated him so much that I never wished him dead, but I wanted to. You know, it was like he wished me dead all the time. And I thought it in my brain, but I never said it out loud. And it wasn't until I started working on myself and I started digging deep and I started taking a step back and being like, okay, how can we make this better? Because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living in this toxic environment. It's not good for me. It's not good for her, my daughter. It's awful. It's ugly. And I don't want her to have to choose. I don't want it to be a competition. I don't want it to be this awful situation that she's the one suffering. So I started working on it, and I started going, okay, I know this is what he did to me. I know this is what I felt. I know. And I started breaking it down, and I started asking the questions. Is this what I want for us? Is this how I want us to go every day? Is this what I want the future for us to be like? Because if we go down this path, it's just going to be, one of us is going to suffer. And yes, it would be him and I, but really, who's going to do the most suffering is her. We're going to suffer physically, mentally, emotionally, yes, but she's the one who's going to be in the middle, unintentionally. Like, nobody has the intent to hurt the child or like to put them in this spot. It's just, it happens. We are human. This is human nature. It is just what we do without intending to hurt somebody. You know, we're protecting ourselves. That's what our bodies, our minds are meant to do, is to learn to protect us. So they think by this way is protecting us. It's not. Okay, it's actually hurting us. It's hurting everybody involved. Whenever there is negative involved in any situation, in any environment, it's never going to be good as the collective. Okay, so no matter what has happened, I can promise you it is forgivable. It is workable. Okay. So I started asking questions, and I started saying, okay, what do I want for us? What do I want for my daughter? What do I want to see happen or change? So we started off slow, and there was a time where his mom came from Quebec, and so that was a good breaking the ice kind of deal. So when I dropped her off at his home, she was there. We introduced each other because we never met in person, and so then that was a good icebreaker. Actually, that was a good first step, because it got him and I on a more personal level, and it allowed us to start the process. So I had started the process at home. I had started within myself. I had started on paper, and I started making the connection. And it brought a situation where we were able to then communicate in person, and where it was less toxic and I guess what's the word, controlled, I guess would work. A controlled situation, because there was other people and his mom, so of course he's going to be on his best behavior and I want to be on my best behavior, and then there's our daughter too. So all of it was playing a part to keep us, you know. And apologies were said, things were said, and from that point on, we were then able to move forward. And so over time, yes, we had our moments of tears and rehashing our opinions and our thoughts and our stubbornness, but we needed to do that. I think for our situation, because we have the daughter, that we actually need to have that relationship that we can communicate. It's not somebody that you can just not have in your life. So there is that difference, because you do not have to do this in person with people to get through traumas or process this stuff. You can do this by yourself. This is just an example of a situation where I don't want to say forced to have him in my life, but it's inevitable. We have a daughter, so we're going to be a part of each other's lives, and we should be. So for us, it was needed to heal. So we did. We started working at it. There are far less, you did this, you said this. There's less tears, there's less reaction, there is a more healthy atmosphere. So the weight has lifted off of both of us. We can hug each other now. We have both apologized. We have come a very long way. So even in the situation where I did not think possible to forgive him, I did. And I'm grateful. I am so beyond grateful, because now my daughter has both of us, and I feel better, he feels better. There's less negativity. That negative atmosphere is now gone. It doesn't exist for us. And that all on its own is a blessing. And I'm very grateful and could not appreciate that whole thing. So the whole experience, I struggled throughout the entire pregnancy. There was a lot of negative. And so now we're healing. We're fixing the damage that's been done. So it's great. And we're not going to be dating. It's just a friendship. But we did it. You know, we have one of those great relationships where we can call each other and say, you know, I really need to talk to somebody. I know that I could call him and say, I really need to talk to somebody, and he would be there. And same for him. He could call me and I would be like, okay, let's get through this. And so we do. So that's the point of this story, is to let you know that everybody has their stuff to work on. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's with yourself or with others. It can be healed. You can heal from it and make a difference. So we went from like a super great, intense relationship to like this opposite, negative, hatred, dragons and demons kind of relationship, to angels and just like this happy place. We actually spent a holiday together. By holiday, I don't mean like we went somewhere. It was Easter. We spent Easter and had dinner together. But we do things like that now, where isn't that nice? Isn't that nice that my daughter can have both of us for that, rather than just one of us, or has to pick like, Who do I go with? Who's my favorite? I don't want her to have favorites. I don't. So it's great. So I know that I made the right decision for her and for us. And it's not just for her, but she is a big motivation, I guess you could say. So yes. So just know that no matter what is going on with you, where you come from, what you've done, what you haven't done, where you're at right now, there is no judgment here. This is not a place of judgment. This is a no judgment zone, because we all have our lives and experiences for a purpose. Okay? It doesn't matter if you were the villain and someone else was a victim. I don't really care. If you know you want to change, then you are in the right place and you are doing the right thing, because you are making the change and you are taking the steps, and that's all that matters. Be proud, because it is a big step, an acknowledgement, and I'm so very, very proud of you, and I absolutely love you, and I am grateful that you have chosen to spend your time with me, and I really hope that this gives you a starting point and that progress can be made for you. So thank you for being with me. Congratulations on this journey, because it is going to be amazing. Take action, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. Take care and lots of love. Bye now.